It's your guy Olu again, and I'm still in Ghana, but this vlog is a bit deeper as I go through two slave castles. The first one that we're walking through at the moment being Elmina Castle, which, fun fact, it's actually the oldest European building in like West Africa, I believe, and I think it goes back to like the 1400s or the 1500s. But yeah, it's an old castle that was used for like gold trade, and then it turned to actual like for the transatlantic slave trade. Unfortunately, nothing to laugh about. But yeah, so I'm going to get a tour, as you're about to see, and then I'll go into Cape Coast Castle afterwards, which was much more interesting in my eyes. This castle was built by the Portuguese, and the other castle, Cape Coast, was actually built by the Brits. But yeah, like even in that space, that compound I was just walking through, that building just across was actually used as a church whilst the slave trade was going on. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to let you take this in. So, and apologies if this is too moving for anybody, but I guess this is just a reality of my history.
Right, so you're welcome once again. Now, as he said, my name is Benson. I'm going to go to. We're actually going to use the next 30 minutes to go through. Maybe it could be more. Washing and drinking. It actually happens to be a clean water at that time. Because it hasn't been used for a long time, we have it that way. But the same water seen there was also used to be washing the women who were being abused sexually. Up there was where the women were coming down. So then there were steps for them to descend. As we talk now, the steps right there is no more. Now, they do have a drainage right there to places for water to move out anytime it rains. Women from this side, the men from the other side, they were all chained, irrespective of the age. And that's why they had to walk them the ship. Now, this place we stand happens to be the emotional aspect of it at that time. The reason being so is that with this side, it actually happens to be the only opportunity if there should be families within or friends. This is where they could see themselves for the last time before they were taken to the new world. With the point of view seeing your friend, your family person right here, we're now looking at its psychological aspect. When we're talking about the basis of what is going to happen to them and the other way around. So through that, there was a rate of committing of suicide. Nobody could withstand the pains their families and friends will be going through what they do. So when you see the door of no thing, stay a little low before you raise up your head. Listen.
So this guy actually told me the whole reason of like having to bow down that low indoors is actually to like mentally put the people through having to always bow down physically, well obviously physically, but having to always bow down to the guards that would be at each door. So it sort of mentally gets them and makes them sort of be submissive, during this tour I definitely noticed like people in the group and other people around being very moved by this, understandably as well. I mean, we were walking through buildings where female slaves were taken up to be raped by the slave masters, you know, so very deep.
Please come closer, have a look at this side. The square diagram down there. The square diagram down there, that is the compass. It also serves as a sand guide. They put a stick right in the middle and use the shadow to tell their time. Where we do have the coconut planting, there's water in there. Water being inside. The drawbridge over there was raised up as a way of protecting the place. As a move. Please take your photo. Move on.
Shout out to this guy as well, man. He was a good tour guide. I didn't capture that much what he was saying compared to the other guy, but definitely a good guy. I would recommend.
Oh, there's one.
This one is big.
This one looks big, huh?
Yeah.
This is a British architecture.
Ah.
Yeah.
I like your shirt.
Appreciate it.
The way this guy talks and stands here with the shirt, he just makes me feel that he would be a sick actor, you know.
Okay, so
Shout out to that
once
guy. Man.
again, you're welcome. Before we take a step, before we start the dungeon, let me give a brief history of this slave castle. This is a British-built slave castle, built around 16. Azaman. So built around 1665. So currently the structure about 360 years old, and for close to 200 years. British traders trafficked a lot of enslaved Africans from here to the Americas, the Caribbean. And the Africans taken through this slave castle, there were many of them captured within present-day Ghana. But in those days, there were Africans captured in neighboring West African countries like Togo, Burkina Faso, and brought here. And many were captives of wars that happened between the different kingdoms in those days. There were also people who were kidnapped randomly from their towns and homes by slave raiders. And wherever the Africans were captured, they were marched on foot. They walk here. So you can imagine walking from even Accra to this place. Yeah. So there were a lot of captives who died being marched down to this slave castle. The middlemen and slave raiders who were bringing the African captives, they were bringing them to auction them to the British traders. And the trading system was the barter trade. So the British here, they were using the guns, textiles, and other European commodities to barter or to exchange for the African captives. And after getting the African captives, the British traders had them branded. They had the branding irons with their company's names or emblems carved out at the tops to fire the branding on the arms or the backs of the captives for easy identification. From there, they will separate them. So the male dungeon, it was designed to hold as many as 1,000 enslaved men. 1,000 men would be held in there. And they had a separate place where they were holding the women. In the dungeons, the captives were kept for between 2 weeks to 3 months, with the British here waiting for the slave ships to come from Britain. In the Americas, they were trafficking the captives to the British colonies in the United States, the Caribbean, the likes of Jamaica, Bahamas, and over there, the captives were enslaved, used as forced labor on the sugarcane, the tobacco, and the cotton plantations. There were Christian missionaries in the slave castle during the slave trade. Missionaries belonging to the English or the Anglican Church. They came from England to preach Christianity, not to the Africans held in the dungeons, but to the Africans who lived in the towns around. And when these missionaries came, they did build a church. There was an Anglican church on top of the male dungeon. The room with the windows openly. Yeah, it was an Anglican church. So while holding the captive down, the British in the slave castle worshipped or practiced Christianity right about the captives. I'll pause for a second. Any questions before we walk and see the dungeon? No. The floor part of it is slippery, so please take your time. Watch your steps. Yeah, the Obamas were here,
Yeah.
2009.
My mom will love that.
They came to visit 16 years ago.
Did you see him?
Oh no, I was in school. Yeah. And besides, they wouldn't have allowed, there were just a few, for security reasons, the plan.
Of course.
So, even if I was, they would like sit home, watch on TV, you know. So when you get here, stay on the right.
Stay on the right.
So let's all walk in here. The floor was just like this. So these archaeologists excavated the floor, revealing the bricks as we are seeing. They examined what they had excavated and the conclusion: decomposed feces and food waste. So they left this small part untouched so that visitors could see for themselves. So this is all the decomposed human waste of the enslaved Africans held in here. Any questions about this chambers? The three from Britain. The first, Captain George McLean. George McLean was appointed a governor here in 1830. He stayed and worked for 17 years. He died of malaria in 1847 at the age of 46. McLean's wife, Letitia Elizabeth London, came from England to visit in 1838. When she came in less than 2 months, she was found dead in one of the husband's room in the upper quarters. Now, nobody knew what happened. There were stories that when she came, she caught the husband McLean with another woman. McLean had a mistress. So many as
The guide actually showed us that on one of the tours, because everybody's been getting emotional about this, tourists that come across the world. And apparently an African American woman came to this tour and was quite moved by it to the point where she actually argued with somebody else that was there who was Portuguese. This is at Elmina Castle, and basically just said, "Well, like, did you see what your people have done to my people?" You know, really got emotional about it, and they had to calm her down. But yeah, this is a tour I would recommend, but it's not for the faint-hearted, man. Like, it's the reality. This happened, and you just gotta sort of, well, people accept it. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Please remember exactly what's captured for. It's just 2 holes with time. I was captured for the fans and here in Ghana. And my children went
punishment cell.
on the old part, a female or man.
So the dungeons where they were holding the women are down there. But the women who were fighting for their freedom, the women who resisted rape by the British officers, they were beaten. 10 women who were abused. And there's an outlet down there for toilet urine. A woman will be in for about 1 week. And what they do is they starve the woman. The idea to starve her, to break her spirit. The intention to make the woman submissive. So women who resist rape, to fight for their freedom, they were beaten, locked, and then starved in the female punishment. Any question about the female cell? Let's see the female dungeons, and then we walk out.
Was this hole used for them to feed them or something?
Yeah, they were fed once a day. And this was also to get air. So there was a gate which was always closed or locked. Yeah. was smaller now. The captives had to go down one at a time to be able to move out. Changed into this big one by the British after the slave trade. The name is very symbolic. No one came here willingly. These were all people captured, taken from their families, and forced here. When they were forced out of the ships, they lost contact with their families. They were trafficked to an unknown world, the Americas, the Caribbean, enslaved on the plantation farms. And they never returned home to their mother, Africa. Please, let's. The slave ships stayed a few weeks in aboard the ships, and then we are taken out. But now the place like a mini fishing house. And in this town, tradition, we don't go fishing. Please keep your head low as you walk in. Yeah. And keep it low until you are in. Watch your head, keep it down. Now again. Now again.
The dancing that's taking place down, just to say it's not an actual like ceremony for the cast or anything, from what I've been told. It's just like them just performing for visitors that come through. Stay tuned for my next episode in Ghana. But yeah, just to say, this experience going through the castle was deep for me, very deep for me. It opened my eyes and just moved me.